The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Survive Cougars, as well as we're going to talk about the status of our quarterbacks here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. I am your host, Jay. It's going to be a fun show. Thank y'all for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Just go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about this victory we got. We're going to dive right into all of those main components like the offense, defense, Dylan Gabriel. We don't know what his status is probably until Tuesday. So we'll talk about him. Jackson Arnold gets his first set of plays in the second half, and we'll see if his first physical start will be on Friday. So I've got the collective with me today. We're riding around with PG and Coop. Gentlemen, happy Sunday. How's it going?
What's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
What you laughing about, PG? What's so funny?
Twitter is a beautiful place. Place. I'm just going to put that out there.
All right, the Bird app's always got something crazy going on. So, Coop, man, how you feeling?
Almost there. Almost there.
Feeling better?
Almost there. And we're 4 or 5 plays away from feeling good. So
I'm done with you. I'm done. I'm kicking you out. Kick him out of the room right now. You gotta go.
It went with a nice little COVID appetizer, and it morphed into pneumonia. So pretty fun.
Congratulations,
fun week
man.
for me.
Sounds like you are actually doing some big stuff with that body of yours.
Yeah, I'm going for Ebola next.
Oh, nice. Gotta get you traveling first, though. You gotta do some
Think so.
secluded island travels to get yourself to that point. But chat, what's good, everybody? We see all of you have pulled up as usual. Steven, thank you for pulling up as usual. Yes, 9-2 does feel nice. It feels good. Hank, let the people know. Wipe your feet because yes, 9-2 is nice. 10-2 is gonna be even better. That's actually what I would like to do. I don't know, man. Cheesy Bowl was fun. I actually enjoyed myself in Orlando for that game, so I don't know how bad that is in my personal opinion. Hey, whoa. Disrespect to the streets. What are we doing here, Coop? Cheesy Bowl was fun in Orlando and everything.
Against Florida State.
It's against Florida State. We showed out. Showed up. You know, Florida was nice. The weather was actually favorable while we were there. So, all right. We're going to jump into the most important pieces of the conversation.
Yeah, he did show out.
We survive. And this is actually a typo because we moved to 13th in the AP poll. Let's update that. Yeah, we're 13th in the AP poll. All right, we're going to go around the horn. We're going to let everybody kind of see how they feel. I'll go last on this one. Coop, talk to me. Offensive-wise, how'd you feel about this game? Actually, just tell me how you felt about this game initially, and then we'll go side to the ball.
I mean, there's just so many things when you go back and watch this game. Like, there were so many games that when we like Kansas and Oklahoma State and Central Florida, to where you're like, we're not going to lose this game. We're going to just make it happen. And then we lost. I felt like I didn't ever feel like we were going to lose Texas. It just didn't cross my mind. Like, I wasn't scared to lose, but they came down, and I was like, there we go. That's what kind of thought was going to happen. And then this week just looked like it was damned. But I will say the difference between this game and Kansas and Oklahoma State were we didn't compound the screwy situations with a bunch of egregious penalties, personal mistakes, and questionable coaching calls. Because I've said it in those post games is we could not do all of that stuff and then win. We couldn't do the bad play calling. We couldn't do the personal mistakes. We couldn't do the penalties. We couldn't do the bad coaching. Couldn't do all of that, untimely turnovers, and then win. So we left out the other things. This team was still good enough to come back and to seal the deal versus a team fighting for something too. That I started believing in their fight for the sixth win and bowl eligibility, early in the second quarter. So, but yeah, so you cut out a couple of those things and it ends in a win instead.
No, that's a good point. PG, what got you going for this game? What's your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts is, man, you're in the Jackson Arnold era. Maybe. I've seen your cryptic tweets out there towards DG, but no, I mean, I think I overreacted at the beginning or at the end of the game yesterday, and I said, oh, Levy's play calling was terrible at the end, but then I went back and watched it, and I said, oh, it might have not been that bad, just didn't understand a few personnel changes. So overall, I think the defense did what they could. You just looked at it. Some of those guys look gassed. I don't think we were deep enough in the rotations yesterday to keep some of those guys at 100%. So over than that, I mean, you get out with a win and you're 9-2. You have a chance to go 10-2, which is what we were all calling for at the beginning of the season, right? I think a lot of people said that's the ceiling for Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody was thinking that our ceiling would be, honestly, not even contending, right? Like, so right now we're 9-2. Vegas put us at 9.5 in the win column, and man, was people hammering that under, bruh. They were hammering the under like crazy. Like, oh, there's no way they win 9 games this year. No chance. And here we are. So my initial thought on the game was, we are awful on the road. That's just who we are. So for me to be mad at the way they performed, I went back. Of course, we've talked about this a few times. We're young. We have a pretty young roster, and the way that we play pretty young. And then when you think about those 2 road games, you had no Stutzman. You played a lot of Kip, a lot of Kanik, a lot of Kobe. And they looked fine at moments, but a lot of our lackluster play on the defensive side always stemmed back to the linebackers, either not being gap sound or not dropping in the right depth and coverage when it came to zone. You always notice that we would leave stuff open, and our zone's not that great. So we'll go into defense first, and then we'll jump on the offensive side. But the biggest thing for me was we just aren't very good on the road, and that's okay. We're 9-2. That in a second year of starting over, you can't beat that, right? You can't beat having that number. And so all of the noise that we're receiving from, like, I got my boy Frightening Truth up in here. What's good, my guy? Texas fans, we won 10 wins before you all. I mean, Sark's been there 3 years. I hope that he would eventually get y'all a 10-win season. The first time since Tom Herman got y'all a 10-win season a while ago. I think y'all haven't had very many this century. So we understand. We understand. Y'all enjoy that. Savor every morsel of having 10 wins. Hopefully you do something with it. But we've been doing some stuff this year that has really surprised me. So let's jump on the defensive side of the ball. Here's my initial thought when it came to defense, right? We walked in. We looked very much disjointed. We didn't look like the defense is at home. We didn't look the same as we did last week against West Virginia. And West Virginia kind of started eating us up. What's interesting about that, though, is you find out people are sick. And then you're like, oh, so that's the reason why all these players aren't playing very well. You're still dealing with injuries. Gentry being hurt. You got to see some Josiah Wagner out there. I don't think I saw Vickers out there at all. So
He didn't travel.
He didn't travel. So Seatbelt had to take a break, in which we're hoping that he's back next week for TCU because, he's one of those young players that are playing. But when I look at that defense, it's a lot of youth. I remember watching some of those lineups. I saw Kanik out there with Kip. I saw Kobe with Kip. I saw Kip with Stutz. It was a lot of mixtures in the linebacker spot, and honestly, that's where we started to struggle. Like, Kip didn't show up in this game. Like, when you go look at the way he played, I don't think he registered a single tackle this entire game. That, to me, is kind of wow. But that's okay. Why? Because we're young. Like, you can see the youth come out of them, but they also still make plays, which that really excites me. So, Coop, defense-wise, man, I know, it wasn't the game that we wanted. We gave up 217 yards to the worst rushing team in the Big 12. How did you feel overall defensively?
I mean, it was bad. It was our linebackers played absolutely terrible. Our defensive line did nothing. I don't know what it was. They pulled a little okey doke on with their offensive and defensive alignments when they came out. So, but the defensive line just didn't get any push at all. Whenever their offensive line, BYU's offensive coaching staff had them one step ahead of us. But yeah, when your linebackers not only are just missing, but I mean just nowhere in the same atmosphere of where they're supposed to be on run fits, you give up a lot of rushing yards, and that team is bad. So, can you completely have a no-show from one unit on your defensive team and win a game? Sure. I mean, you can. We see this, okay? The defense is, I think, solely responsible for the close game and the win. And I got to say, Billy Bowman, he continues to make himself just absolutely look like a massive playmaker. You're starting to see some glimpses from folks. Kip Lewis, for every ounce of praise that he got leading up to now, he had his worst game possible. But it was an epidemic in the on the linebacker side. They were getting moved. They were just wrong run fit over and over and over and over again. I typically try to wait and watch Gabe and Teddy until after we do our show. Being that I don't have very much my health, I was watching it, and it's funny because even Teddy's like, I don't know what was going wrong, and just because he can't see why they would be doing that, and if they were coached to do something, there was a massive there was something happened that they either showed and then they did zero of, or we just absolutely were, because on defense, on offense, defense, sports just in general, is if you feel like you got the secret sauce and you go to use it and it doesn't work at all, sometimes it takes a while to finally get yourself back to a spot where you're like, all right, let's start over. And I think that's what had to happen. Just piss poor showing by the defense. They sealed it down at the end when Jackson had to come in, and we were just playing, please God, don't let us lose. And that game was a frightening game towards the end of it, just because it looked like we were absolutely ready just to hand over the game.
Yeah, it did feel like we just we're trying to lose it for ourselves. But overall, we walked out with a win, something we probably wouldn't have done last year. We did make that happen. PG, how you feel about that?
When it comes to the defense, I was not under the impression that these guys were sick during the game, so maybe why I went a little too hard at them in my reaction video. But at the end of the day, regardless whether people are healthy or not, even when they're healthy, our zone coverage is absolutely awful. It is not good, and I don't understand why they don't play more man. But when it comes to Oklahoma playing on the road, it seems like more of our injuries have happened on the road, because the Tulsa game, I think fairly everybody was healthy. Cincinnati, I don't know if everybody was healthy there, but Kansas and Oklahoma State, you're without two of some of your most important players in Gentry and Danny Stutzman on that defense. I'm really looking on the defensive side of the ball going into TCU. I'm looking to see Dejon Terry, because Dejon Terry left that game, and he is extremely important to this defensive line for Oklahoma. So, overall, this is what the defense is. And I was talking to somebody. Jay, you might know who I was talking to. I'm not going to oust them just yet. I was talking to somebody on Saturday about this as well. Maybe the defense is not exactly where we thought it was at the beginning, right? Oklahoma was 7-0. I think a lot of people thought, hey, this is an elite defense. They're looking like Georgia. I think we needed to take a step back. I think this defense is somewhere in the middle of where it was last year and then be an elite, right? I think they're a top 50 defense if everybody's healthy and they're on their game, but they're definitely not in the hundreds like they were last year in the previous years with Lincoln Riley. If you have this defense with Lincoln Riley, you might even potentially win a national championship. But I don't think this defense is, especially after what we saw this weekend. I don't think it's what we thought it is.
I'm on that. And the thing about it is, what's funny is, yeah, we talk about, the defense, and we're talking about, they're not that elite. I mean, defensive efficiency wise, I think we're top 12, 15. ESPN's SP Plus, number 10 offense. Their defense rating has us at 24th. So at minimum, we're a top 30 defense. Something we did not expect to happen. Well, I mean, granted, when I had the conversation with Reggie Pearson, he told me that they anticipate to be higher than this. But I'm just gonna say, with health, dog,
you're not deep enough for that yet. You're not deep enough. You are not
Right.
the Georgias where you have a whole starting lineup of 5 stars and then got 5 stars waiting in the back. I saw a Texas account tweet this out earlier, and I don't know who it was. I'd love to give them credit for this tweet, but they talked about how their starting running back went out. You had a 5-star in C.J. Baxter to take over, and then they had one of their star wide receivers going down. You had a 5-star in Jonte Cook to take over, right? That shows 3-4 years of recruiting to create that depth. Oklahoma just doesn't have that yet. They have good depth. They're just not that kind of depth where you can withstand numerous injuries and be able to put out an elite defense week in and week out.
I disagree with you there, and I disagree in the mindset of if the expectation is that's a 5-star that steps in, sure, but I don't think you need 5 stars to be successful. We watch teams be successful without having a 5-star at every position. Heck, we've seen Alabama have a 5-star at every position and lose. I think the bigger thing is experience, and Jonte Cook and CJ. Baxter started the season as their running back, and then they went to Jonathan Brooks, and Baxter's getting run, but Baxter was also hurt. So I think the bigger difference is that they played their players in for a lot more experience, especially on the offensive side. It's a lot easier to throw a freshman wide receiver in there and a freshman running back. I mean, we saw that with Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk last year, right? I mean, you run for 100 yards against a really good Florida State team.
I just using it as an example, right? To kind of what I was talking about. I mean, yeah, it's easier to plug and play on the offense than the defense, but
it is a defense.
Yeah, but
exactly.
But I just don't think Oklahoma has that talent. I mean, yes, experience helps, but at the same time, I think Oklahoma's only got 2 5-star defensive guys. I mean, I think in order to compete with the Georgias and the Bamas of the world, you probably want to have 3, 4, maybe even 5-star defensive players, right? And then have a bunch of blue chippers. I think Oklahoma, we're doing a good job of getting the blue chippers, but we're not 100% there yet with the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
we're getting there. We're just not there yet.
We're getting there. I'll agree with you there. We're getting there, and I think that we have the players for it. But that's why I kept pointing out we're very young. Like most of the players. I put it like this: about half our defense has actually ran through this Venables defense more than one season, right? Everybody else is still either learning it or trying to really grasp everything that they have to do. And so for us, the good thing is we've got a lot of quote unquote competitive depth that's actually there to show up.
Which I was thinking about it this weekend, and I said to myself, if Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman come back, which I think there's a good chance that Billy Bowman would come back because Jada Coleman's got one more year at OU, and I think they want to stay together. I think you're looking at it in Oklahoma defense next year. It's top 10.
Yeah. So let me see who the Sooner Cowboys post that said this is actually factually incorrect. Clemson didn't have a bunch of 5-stars on their team when they was winning national championships.
But historically, though, the more 5-stars you have,
but you don't
the
have
more
to.
you win.
It's all about your coaching. And Brent Venables was able to coach up a whole bunch of 3 and 4 stars into elite defenders. I mean, Shaq Lawson was a 3 or 4-star transfer in from JUCO. They had players on that defensive line that were not 5-stars that were dominating at the 5-star level. It's all about coaching and capability sometimes too. So not to fully disregard the statement, the bigger thing is you still got to have the coaching to go with it. And I think we're getting to that point, luckily. Coop?
Yeah, listen, you can have 5 stars or 3 stars up down. It's do you have difference makers? And I don't give a damn what the 5-star, 4-star stuff is, because OU can stand up there with the best in the business at getting 5 stars. I mean, if it was down to 5 stars and that was only it, Texas would be Alabama. Nobody does more or does less with more. So there's that. Now you also got to look through. I mean, yeah, this team, the competitive depth that we currently have, it means we're not going to get our backsides handed to us if somebody goes down. What it means, like previous years, we've had somebody who doesn't belong at OU trying to roll out there and compete for a job, and the reason why they've never been able to come on the field, and nothing against a Marcus Hicks. Or any of the kids that had transferred to Texas State or Houston, like those are your backup guys that are never going to be massive, role players. So it does. Coaching has a lot to do with it. Your quarterback has a lot to do with it, and then just playmakers and gamers. This team, this team that OU fields this past week, next week, hasn't played for anything in a very long time.
Right. Exactly.
And so to expect them to come out and act like a team that has done stuff, that was silly on our part.
Yeah, and I see everybody's comments here about the 5 stars with A&M and Texas. And yes, I get it. Teams get 5 stars and then don't get to that level. But at the end of the day, you still have to have them. Like, you're not going to get to a national championship and not have 5 stars on your team. You have to have that blue chipper talent with those 5 stars to be able to get there. Yes, Clemson did it, but I mean, they were the exceptions to that rule. Everybody else, everybody else has had to have 5 stars and that blue chipper talent. Texas and Texas A&M, they just didn't have the development to go along with that.
And not even development. You have the coaching. So I like when I understand people want to point out the fact that don't matter if you ain't got the coach. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have the coach, don't have the coach that can make it actually be executed on. So
we got the coach.
That's my point. That's my point.
Now,
that's my point. Is even Riley was able to do a lot of stuff with 5-star talent on the offensive side of the ball, but he had some 5-star talent on the defensive ball, and they were quote unquote bust. But they're still 5 stars. So we have to make a decision. What is the determining factor of a 5-star of what is good or what's not? Right? Yes, 5 stars have about 50% bust rate, but they're also the ones that they have a 50% draft rate in the first round. Cool. But the other thing to keep in mind is that just because you got 5 stars don't mean anything. That's my point. And I get people saying, we got to get 5 stars. No, you don't. You can win a national championship with all 4 stars if you have the right coach. That's the thing about it. What's the development look like? How do these players execute in the game? We've seen Nick Saban do that at the beginning of his tenure at Alabama. His team wasn't full of 5 stars that second year there. They were full of a bunch of 4 stars. And guess what he started doing? Now everybody wants to go play for him. Why? Because 1, everybody loves Nick Saban. 2, the development. So it's all about the coaching. And Kirby Smart's doing it at Georgia. Why? Because he spent 9 years at Alabama. Now he's at Georgia, and he's just keeping the conveyor belt going. Georgia's always had 5-star talent, right? Couldn't get over the hump. You got to have the right coach to give it a hump. That's the reason why I'm pushing back on that, because that's the thing to think about is you got to get over the hump. You got to have the coach that can get you over the hump. And we have it. I believe we've got the staff to do it. We just now, with young players, that's the thing you got to get over. Now, like, for example, Seth, you made this comment. I had it star, but I accidentally hit the star off of it. Let me pull it back up because I kind of want to point this out. And this statement right here, believe in BB. Having said that, I'm very, very concerned he can't get his defense ready to play on the road. That happens when you have a lot of young players and you're all teaching them a whole new system. That happens. That's going to happen when you have a bunch of young players out there. Half the team knows his defense, and he is infamous for having one of the more complex defenses in college football. This year was not supposed to be a year that we were supposed to have been even this good. Now, when I saw Vegas had us at 9.5, I was like, oh, Vegas is trapping people. We went 6 and 7, and you're going to give us 9.5 wins? They want people to take that under. And guess what? Well, we should on Friday, because we played very well at home, finish off TCU, move to 10-2, hit the over on the actual wins for the season, and go from there. but it's because of youth, Seth. That's my assessment on it. Is we've started playing. I mean, Walker. Someone mentioned it here. He's our fifth corner, right? We're playing a lot of young players, a lot of the young guys, which is good because
Well, that's
come next
what
season,
BB said he made a mistake with last year, not playing enough of the young guys and getting them experience because you had young guys that could play. Hence Peyton Bowen this year. How crucial has Peyton Bowen been for us on this defense, right?
Yeah,
So,
when
you got to
healthy.
get these young guys in there.
right? When healthy, Peyton's been it. I mean, you're seeing PJ play. Our Mason Thomas is a 3-star, and he runs like a 4.3, 4.4 is what some of the big guys will tell you.
You got to make mention
at
that he's a
age.
3-star.
Huh?
You got to make mention that he's a 3-star.
Yeah,
He,
on purpose.
he is.
Because of development, baby. That's the key.
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. Well,
We're
then
getting
I'll
there.
point out Peyton Bowen's 5-star, and that man's been really good for Oklahoma.
He's been good in his spots. Yes, he has. When healthy, he is. But at the same time, we talk about Caleb Downs, who was getting exposed to start the season in Alabama, but now he's settled in.
Yeah,
he's
now
playing
he's
a very
taking
complex position
86-yard
as a
punt
freshman.
returns for touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, he's a punt returner. I don't think that really has anything to do with him playing safety, which is his main position. But anyway, let's move on to offense. Shout out to Gavin Sawchuk. 100 yards, 3 games in a row. Kind of feeling good about the way that we're going with the run game. It feels like we're hitting a stride. He basically, Dylan Gabriel goes out the game. We didn't realize it. And then Sawchuk decides to pick up most of his yards in the second half, finish with 100, get that touchdown that gave us the lead to seal the deal. PG, I'll go with you first, man. How you feel about how the offense played in this game? We'll talk, of course, QB statuses after this, but how did you feel about the offense overall?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like they played well enough. At the end of the game, I think a lot of it just came down to execution. You can't put a freshman quarterback in there and expect him to execute 100% on the road. I had some friends texting me that BYU environment. It was loud, it was hostile, but they enjoyed their free ice cream. So, just unfortunately, the players don't get free ice cream. So, no, I think the offense played well. I did have questions, though. Originally, I was like, Jeff Levy's play calling. And then I went back and watched it, and I'm like, well, no. It was more so the personnel decisions, right? I think you were on the BYU 9, and you didn't put Tawi Walker or Gavin Sawchuk out there to run the ball at all. And I was very confused by that decision because Gavin Sawchuk was averaging like 7 yards a carry, and Tawi was averaging like 5. So you had an opportunity to score there, and then you let Zach Schmidt go out there and miss a field goal from the right hash. So, which what I was laughing about at the beginning of the stream was, I don't know if you've seen the video floating around of Andrew Purcell kicking a 60-yard field goal in the Oklahoma's facilities. He's a 2027 kicker, but everybody's asking where he's at, and they were mentioning stuff about the right hash and Jack Schmidt. But no, I felt like Oklahoma could have had a chance to put BYU away and get to a 3-score win, but ultimately their personnel decisions and then just players not executing right, they ended up in a closer game than maybe they should have. So.
I mean, I get that. And it's funny because I know everybody's been jumping all over Zach Schmidt and then this kicker that kicked the 60-yarder inside the facility. I bet you Zach Schmidt's done the exact same thing with those videos. I don't buy those propaganda videos for a reason, because it ain't about how you do it in the side of the facility and just a plastic holder holding the ball. It's about how you go out there and actually execute on it. Just about all these kickers got that film. How do you think they get rated?
And,
So
and Zach Schmidt's got
buy
he's got a mental thing going on right now. That's
Yes.
what this is.
That is exactly it, PG.
Because when you're a kicker, you can't. It's kind of like basketball, right? Like you could have a player go on a slump for multiple games, and it's just they're not seeing the ball go through the hoop. The moment they see it go through the hoop, they're on fire. And I think with Schmidt, he hasn't hit one that's, I think, got his confidence back up yet. And I mean, at the end of the day, he's not your kicker going into 2024. Right. I mean, they're going to give Liam Andrews an opportunity to take that job. But
Dylan Gabriel out there was kicking stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that this is a mental thing. Like they got to go out there and they got to hit it, and it's only going to get worse. At this point, they've got to try something different. You can't continue to put this kid out there.
Right. At a certain point, we've got to go ahead and just move on to the next. Coop, what you thinking? Offense.
So, make this very fast. So for a couple of us who, I tried to play football very, very shortly when I was in high school. I was safety, like the 18th string quarterback, since everybody wants to be in quarterback. But I was a baseball player, and so I loved playing football. I just didn't. I grew up in Bartlesville, and even back then, we didn't have a very good team. We didn't have a very good coaching staff. We didn't have a very good program. So I went and played baseball and went to college. I feel like I did pretty good there. But when we played in like these flag football tournaments with a bunch of my guys, the guy that was our quarterback is who Dylan Gabriel reminds me of. He's a completely fine guy. If you set him up next to a Spencer Rattler, you set him up next to Nico Imali Veva or whatever, the physical talents are just not going to be there, right? And I feel like we have seen this offense ran to its peak, and it's the absolute most not fluent, the stress-free, seamless running of this offense. And that's what this offense can be under Dylan Gabriel. We can't play that game every single game. It's not like that. That's not how football plays. I will say this is when he went out, we were stopping ourselves, and that was it. We were doing good on offense. They were keeping us out of the way, and it just was not a great, just not a great offensive showing. Now he gets hurt. I think I sent it out to everybody, and I said, I think we're about to see Jackson Arnold in the second half, guys. And shout out to George Stoya. He got a tip, and so I'm the first one who first heard it from him. But that offense unnerves me a little bit from what I saw. So moving forward, you have to think 100% macro. How do we get better in the next game / potentially 2 to 3 games, and give ourselves a leg up towards next year? I think that the bases of our offense are with us. You've got Jackson Sawchuk. We'll have Andrew Anthony come back next year, but Anderson, Farouk, Gibson, Faneuil, Cade McIntyre. I think that we pull out some shenanigans here. Give a shout out to Gavin. Gavin is starting to remind me more and more of Kennedy Brooks, somewhere between Kennedy Brooks and, man, I'm gonna bring back a Roy Finch. Roy Finch just seemed like somebody that was running. Now, he always ran into people, but when he was running, it was like, is he going to kick it into another gear, or is this the top gear? And he was just scooting through people, and it always wowed me. And I love Gavin doing it because 7.6. That's what you're looking for. But he only had 14 carries. So is it an issue because Gavin's really not equipped to handle 25, 30 carries a game? Or is there another reasons why we just weren't leaning on him a little bit more? I'm not sure. So let's do this. We got through this game. This looked like a game where the team went out to Vegas the night before, got in at 5 a.m., and then just showed up on the field and made it through. I don't want to see this type of a game again. Let's go ahead and get this out there. Let's put together our at home against a very, very Dr. Jekyll and Hyde type of a team in TCU. Let's just come and beat 3 layers of dog crap out of this team and just end the season on something feeling good. I don't really care about the bowl game. I want the season to go down. I want us to not be the reason why we don't get to the Big 12 championship game. So I don't want to see us do a crap game out there. Texas end up losing, and then we got our asses handed to us by TCU. Like, that would irritate the crap out of me.
Yeah, irritate all of us.
I like how you said Gavin Sawchuk seen the field better, because I talked about that in my recap video. And there is one play specifically that anybody should be able to point out where Gavin Sawchuk did the most Kennedy Brook things ever. He ran into the offensive lineman, then he paused for a second, and he looked, and he was like, there's my hole, and he ran right to the hole. And honestly, he probably would have broke that down for a touchdown if he wouldn't have slipped. I mean, it was open. So I think, one, you're starting to see more confidence in Sawchuk's hamstring, right? He's getting more confidence there. But two, also, I think now you're starting to see the offensive line and the running backs, being Tawi Walker and Gavin Sawchuk, get a little more chemistry between the two. They understand, these are my running backs, these are my offensive linemen, these are where the holes are going to be, right? This is where we need to create the holes. My only thing is, you were talking about Gavin Sawchuk and, hey, is he able to do it? I think he could carry the ball 20, 25 times. I think the problem is Tawi Walker's not very healthy. We obviously know Javonte Barnes isn't healthy. I'm not understanding why we're not playing Caleb Hicks and Dalen Smothers very much. So I think it's more so of, I think they're just being limiting on the running backs because they don't want to injure their only healthy running back. So I think that could be a big factor into it. But I just don't understand you get down in goal line situations and then you don't put your running back in the game to punch it in. Like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I was
Very
a little
Lincoln
irritated
Riley.
with that too, because to me on that possession, I didn't understand why wouldn't you just give the ball to Tywee?
Shoot, or Gavin.
no, you
Gavin was
Gavin.
running straight up the middle too.
Well, in certain
I'll even
spots-
say run a damn jet sweep, something.
No, don't do that.
Can you stop? I don't need you to be cursing on this show, man. This is a family show, and we have a lot of people that watch this. Using that JS word cannot be. You got language. I'm gonna have to start moderating language in here, start muting folks. But
I was
at the same
I was
time,
confused for a second. I was like, man, I know that I'm kind of out of it because of the medications, but I was like, what did I just freaking say?
you said
I know. Forgive me, Father.
language. Exactly. We can't be doing that. And I say that specifically because that play is not bad when the run game is being successful. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. As long as you are using it as a supplement to go along with all the success you have, great. But in that situation, though, that could have worked. But Tywee, you give him the ball and he just runs right through down people. And just as PG said, Gavin was doing that well, getting us down the field. But if you wanted to give him a break, put Tywee in and let him keep running down their throat. Stop putting Drake Stoops in the backfield and act like he's a running back. Like, I understand that may try to confuse. No.
Even put
Put your
Farouk
big back
in there.
in.
Farouk's been really good in running situations this year. Just put
Yes.
somebody in there to run the dang ball up the middle.
To me, you put Tywee in there next to Drake Stoops. Then you can pretend like you're going to give it to Drake, give it back to Tywee, and let Tywee's run down their throat. But still, yes, give the ball to Tywee. Let the big man do it. Because you throw it to Drake across the middle, let him catch the ball, catch touchdowns and whatnot. But you got to run it down their throat. But other thing that jumped out to me, too, in this game, especially on the offensive side, was I love that we finally leveraged the fact that we've got dudes that are like really, really tall and throw it to them in the back of the end zone for touchdowns.
Where's
I love
Jaden
that.
Gibson been?
Yeah, hey, I mean, I get that, there's things we don't see in practice. There's reasons why certain guys ain't in there when they in there, but at the same time, Jaden Gibson, 6'5", he's got hops, and he has great gracefulness with his toes because as soon as he stepped down and landed, he got that touch. He took the ref and said, right there, baby, I did it.
I don't understand
and
why
Nick
it took
Anderson-
him so long to call that. I mean, it was clear as day.
Again, we ain't there for practice, but at the same time, yes, that's something I want to see more of, and I'm glad that we actually got that. And James made a good point on here to you, Coop. Altitude. I pointed out the altitude was going to be a problem for us before we even played the game because it was November and altitude. I knew that there was going to be something. Also, I don't know if y'all knew this. I'm not sure if you watched the broadcast. You should have noticed this, but they kept pointing out how awful their football field is, how awful it is. And you saw chunks of grass coming up off the field. It was awful. And of course, everybody said, well, Iowa State played them the week before. Yeah, they made the field worse. Like, think about it. The bigger thing about playing a team like BYU that uses that type of field is that as the season goes, the field gets worse and worse.
Well,
and worse and
I
worse.
don't think it was rainy the week that Iowa State went in to go play BYU.
Was not. So we had the rainy week that was on a field that was beat up. So you can't really treat it if it's rainy, right? You put the tarp over it in hopes of protecting it, and it's just chunks of field coming up. It was all you did was see people slip nonstop. It was bad. So I can see how some of the offensive players and the defensive players struggled with their cuts because they knew that they were going to slide, hit the ground anyway. But yeah, the altitude was also something that was a major factor to keep in mind. That altitude is something big. Billy's interception, it's his second pick six of the season, was dope. Great thing for us to have because that really saved the game. But let's talk about the quarterback situation. Now, Dylan Gabriel came out the game late first half. Didn't nobody realize it. And then he doesn't come back in the second half. They show replays. And what do we see in the replays? His head bouncing off the ground. A la Texas Tech. Now, it wasn't the leveling hit that he got off there, but his head still bounced. And so my, of course, concern is that he's probably concussed, which is why they didn't put him in. Or they just didn't put him in because of precaution. He probably was just like, I'm good or whatnot, right? So I tweeted out, this is most likely the start of the Jackson Arnold era. I don't see Dylan Gabriel coming back and then playing in the Crimson and Cream. And this is the reason why I said that. If you watch my recap, this is a repeat for you, but this is the reason why. And PG wanted to know this. If Dylan Gabriel is hurt and he is concussed, we've never seen Oklahoma put somebody out there right a week after them being concussed, right? So that means he won't play TCU. There's still a slim chance that we play in the conference championship game. We'll see how that goes. But overall, it's most likely TCU and then bowl game. If that's the case, why not just start the Jackson era now? Let him get those extra starts because he's about to go play in the SEC. And if they match us up with the SEC team, what better way to get him prepared than to play against an SEC team in a bowl game at a neutral site? That's why I don't see him coming back and playing. Now, granted, I can totally see BV and them deciding they want all the seniors to play. Let them go ahead and play and get that last hoorah in at the bowl game. But traditionally, a lot of players opt out those bowl games, right? They usually opt out, and then we see all the young players play. So with Jackson Arnold getting his first start, I'm assuming they're going to go ahead and just start. Let Dylan prepare for the All-American Bowl, the Senior Bowl, or whatnot, and see if he decides to go and get drafted or if he decides to transfer. We don't know. But I don't see him coming back in. So that's my explanation of why. I'm not saying I'm right. I just don't see it happening to me. My logic says go with the young guys. PG, I pass to you first, then Coop.
Man, I don't agree with the situation where, especially if you're in the Big 12 championship game, I feel like DG gives you your best. I know Jackson Arnold's talented, and I know this is not going to be a popular take. I feel like DG gives you your best chance to win. He's the most.
I agree 100%.
And I feel like if you're in the Big 12 championship, I ain't taking no risk. I'm putting DG's butt in there, and I'm letting him win us the game. Now, in the bowl game, I totally see, hey, you know what, DG, let's let you play a quarter or let's let you play a half, but the rest of it's going to be all Jackson Arnold. Because at this point, you've burned his red shirt. Why not? But if it comes down to regular season, I don't know. Is Big 12 championship count as regular season?
No, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Kind
if it comes down to regular season, Big 12 championship, you're playing DG. Now, I agree with you. I don't see him playing this week against TCU. So, if that's the case, if he does not get a chance to play on senior night or senior day, then he's playing in the bowl, or then he's playing either in the bowl game or in the Big 12 championship. They're going to give him an opportunity to go out the right way. Unless Dylan Gabriel decides to come back and be Jackson Arnold's backup.
I don't see him coming back to be a backup. I see if he comes back, he's going to be a grad assistant, but I honestly think that if Gabriel goes, I think he goes pro. He gets drafted. He gets drafted 5th round, 6th round.
Oh, he'd be a good backup
and
for
somebody's going to give him a chance.
Yeah.
Hey, have you guys watched Homeboy for the Jets play? They would take Dylan Gabriel right now. They would offer OU, what do you want? We'll knock somebody off for you because
Wilson is not very good.
He is terrible. So here's my thing is I'm going to leave the Big 12 championship game because that doesn't look likely, and I don't want to continue to blow smoke up that thing. Is everything about Dylan Gabriel's future will be known after this week. If he's not coming back, there's a good chance that they run a 2 QB system in the bowl game and then hand it off literally physically, verbally, alphabetically, metaphorically, literally handed off between DG and Jackson. It's go time. I saw somebody chat in here. It's not about the SEC. The bigger, faster, stronger doesn't mean that like you can't go in and play with these guys. It's just that when it's bigger, faster, and stronger across the board, you can't get away with more junk that you can get away with in the Big 12. And so I've made a huge deal about it. We've got a lot of first-year quarterbacks. We've got like I said, the meat and potatoes, the bones of our offense are already on campus. Let's get cooking. Let's get going, because think of it as from the macro standpoint, this bowl game really doesn't mean anything. We beat the over-under. You go out, you beat TCU. Bowl game is just how do we prep? Extra practices for folks. How do you somehow sneak Devon Mitchell down to bowl practices and just put him in the lineup? If that's at all possible, I'm down with that. But if Dylan is healthy, he will play in the bowl game unless he elects to opt out to transfer or to move to the NFL draft. I think that the coaches will give him the measure of respect and let him make that call.
Now I agree with Hank here. Bowl game, everybody's talking about bowls in here. If there's a bowl game, we'll probably play Arizona.
It's USC ain't happening.
So I think,
USC
so everybody says USC ain't gonna happen. They
It's not happening.
6-6 Oklahoma up with a 9-3 Florida State last year.
Yeah, but here's the difference. 6-6 OU will watch the television. 10-2 USC has trouble with the television. You probably have Lincoln Riley opting out to go to the NFL and or just dead silence at the end of the year. Caleb Williams sure as hell is not going to play in the nobodycares.com bowl at 7-5. There's zero chance that he plays because he's going to play the game of, am I transferring? Am I going number one in the NFL draft? Who knows? Because I think he doesn't want to go to Chicago, and he definitely doesn't want to hang around with Lincoln. So Arizona, and if we play Arizona, you better hope to God that we're not in altitude and all of our players don't have IVs in their necks, because they've got something working out there.
Yeah, it'll be the Alamo Bowl most likely. The way it's projecting out, we'll play the Alamo Bowl, and it's looking like Arizona's most likely it, because it's the teams are picked based upon ranking in their conference and ranking in our conference, and they usually take like 3 and 4 and 6 and 7 and all of that stuff. And that's how they match them up. And then they give the invites and see who takes them.
I mean, unless you're a Big 12 champion, then you're playing in a New Year's Six bowl.
Correct. Exactly. That's my point. First place Big 12 plays in a New Year's Six bowl game.
But, I mean, even if you're Oklahoma, I don't think they try to match up Oklahoma against an Arizona. They're going to try to get some marquee matchup for us, whether that's USC or – because I get what y'all are saying, but – at the end of the day, if Lincoln Riley's the head coach at USC, that's a huge money grab for whatever bowl wants to take that.
Yeah, there's conference tie-ins to all of this. They're actually specifically set on how they're tied in, and sometimes they'll have the at large or whatnot. But go ahead, Coop.
And I'm coming from a very, very informed aspect here. Everybody anybody making bowl selections looks at projections for television. USC is not going to get a strong. It does not matter if Lincoln and Caleb said we 100% are playing in this bowl game. First, I believe 0 out of either of them, but they're not going to get the watchers. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And there's a reason why there's no more Pac-12. It's because nobody watches a damn thing in that side of the states.
So what about Oklahoma and Penn State? Because I looked at that one at the beginning of the year after we lost our games, and I said that'd be an interesting matchup. I'd like to see Oklahoma play Penn State.
It depends on on their tie-ins. So for them, I'm looking at the tie-ins and affiliations, and this question that Brian asked is exactly spot. Is right. Actually, Brian, it's not contract with Big 12. It's Big 12 in the Pac-12. That is the Alamo Bowl's contract. It's Big 12, Pac-12. And then they do tie-ins based upon other reasons or whatnot. But for the Big 12, it's the, of course, college football playoff if selected. Cotton Bowl is, I think, the first is the New Year's Six game. That's first. Actually, it's the Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl is the one that's a New Year's Six that's actually tied into the Big
Because the Cotton
12
Bowl
SEC.
because the Cotton Bowl is
It's a playoff destination
game
this year.
Yeah.
So so that one's out of the window there. But our tie-ins is Alamo Bowl first is the highest ranked Big 12 school. Then you got the Pop-Tart Bowl versus the ACC, Tax Slayer Texas Bowl versus the SEC, Liberty Bowl versus the SEC, Guaranteed Rate Bowl versus the Big Ten. And that's actually it.
So
Cheez-It Bowl usually takes an at-large if there's no SEC or ACC team available.
So the
And
only
that's
way
actually
we could play Penn
big thing
State
goes
with
to.
the only way we could play Penn State is if we ended up at the Tax Slayer Bowl.
Most likely, yeah. Tax Slayer,
That'd be
actually,
such a fun
Citrus Bowl.
matchup.
The Cheez-It Bowl is one out actually as well. Because after Ohio State, Michigan and Ohio State, you got Michigan, Ohio State. One of them are 1 and 2, whichever one it is. Their third one's going to be Penn State, and then they could end up down there at the Orange Bowl.
Hey, I wouldn't mind matching up with Michigan in a New Year's Six Bowl, setting up for 2020. Is it 2025? Is our first matchup?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that matchup. I would not mind that.
Next season they got Texas, so yeah, it's they'll most likely tie us. They'll probably tie us to the. I'm trying to think. Could be most likely tied to the SEC, but I expect the Alamo Bowl to be the one that we play against. I don't
the
see
Alamo Bowl
Oregon
still
being
going to
there.
pick a Pac-12 team, or is it going to kind of be free for all since their teams are going to the Big 12, and then you got Oregon State and.
No, I mean, it's still the 2023 season, so they're going to be contractually bound no matter what they want to do.
Hey, man, I have no clue where this balloon filter comes from. It just randomly pops up on my screen whenever I record. I have no clue where it's coming from, and I can't find it. I've gone through every setting possible. It's getting annoying for me. I cannot figure it out. Anyway.
It'll teach you.
It's teaching me. My camera's teaching me lessons on that, which is working my nerves.
In 2002, when we played Arkansas, that was when our defense was lights out, and I think we held Arkansas to 70 total yards in the Cotton Bowl. I think we get a similar situation if we play Penn State. I mean, Penn State's offense is rough. It's really, really bad.
What about Louisville? Louisville would be a fun game.
Louisville's a game that I know that I don't feel like Oklahoma can match up with them unless we got our game on.
Problem with us on the Louisville won't be one. We won't be with Louisville. Louisville's going to be the number 2 team in the ACC, if not number 1. They may win the ACC now that Florida State's done.
Now, if Bama loses, they're 10-2, and Ole Miss wins this weekend, Ole Miss could jump them or be
they won't jump them
after the SEC championship, right?
No.
So there's no chance playing Bama unless you're in the SEC or unless you're New Year's Six.
Did you not see Bama beat up on Ole Miss?
Dude, shut up.
I mean, we can make up stuff all we want, but the logic's there. No.
Well, my thought process is right. If they win their next game, and then Alabama goes out there and gets beat by Georgia in the SEC championship game, likely you could
Bama's
see
number 2 in the
Bama fall
conference.
below Ole Miss, right?
No. Why would they fall though?
If they lose in the SEC championship game,
yeah. How would they fall? Why would they fall underneath Ole Miss? Give me your logic.
the committee doesn't make any logic. They make decisions that don't make any sense.
Remember, Ole Miss one lost to Alabama, and 2, Ole Miss is also 5-2 in conference.
I mean, Oklahoma had one loss, and they had Texas above Oklahoma.
Well, that's based upon what's about when was this?
When the first rankings came out, they had Texas above Oklahoma.
Yeah, because
it was Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because they feel that Alabama would be a favorite in a game in a neutral site against Oklahoma. And Texas beat Alabama, so they gave them that precedent. That's kind of where that logic came in. Does it make sense? Absolutely not, but that's why. But at the same time, Ole Miss already lost to Alabama, and they're 5-2 in conference. They wouldn't be above Alabama. Ole
That
Miss
game's
is also 13th and Bama's 8th. Depending on how bad Bama, depending on what the outcome of the SEC championship will be. Just put it that way. But everybody's lost 2 games in conference, and Bama and Georgia have not lost a conference game yet. So there's no precedent to put anybody above one of those 2 in that conference whatsoever. Because remember, when it comes to the tie-ins for the bowl games, it's first and second and third. They do it by ranking in conference, and Bama's only going to have 1 loss in conference. There's no way that they would be underneath Ole Miss. See what I'm saying? Now, if they lose to Auburn this weekend, it's a different story. But I don't think that happens.
That Juju, anything happens in that game, and Auburn just lost to New Mexico State. So that's.
I mean, yeah.
Is that game in Jordan-Hare this week?
Ooh, I think you might be right. I think it is at the cursed place. Let's see.
Because I know it's at Auburn.
Yes. It's at Auburn, and then Bama goes and plays against Georgia in the SEC championship.
I know that. I know Auburn just lost to New Mexico State, but that would be the most Bama thing to do ever, to go lose to Auburn the week after they lose to New Mexico State in Jordan.
That would actually be the most Iron Bowl thing.
You know what?
I
might have to make that pick this week just to irritate Ty and Jance.
10-year anniversary of the Kick Six.
Kick 6, yeah.
Oh, sheesh. That is some heavy stuff right there. Okay. Bowl-wise, though, I think as long as we win, we'll probably... Well, yeah, we lost to Kansas right before, the rankings, and that loss is what knocked us below Texas also. So good job, Sooner Cowboy. Glad you pointed that out. I was trying to remember if we had already lost a game yet. We weren't undefeated, so yeah, that's why we
that was my thought process, right? Oklahoma had just lost. Texas was above them, so I was thinking, well, maybe if Ole Miss gets a favorable jump this week and Alabama just loses, maybe they. But I mean,
that's not how that works.
Your point of Alabama only at that point having 1 conference loss. Actually, if they were tied with 2 conference
0
losses,
conference
I could
losses.
see it.
Yeah,
no, but what I'm
yeah,
saying
you're
is
right now.
but your point of they only had 1 conference loss makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we were below, because we lost to Kansas.
And
that's
Seth,
why we were underneath. Both
Seth,
of them.
don't speak that. You don't want Oregon. Oregon is one of the 4 best teams.
I do want Oregon.
No,
I'm
don't
upset.
want Oregon.
I
don't want Dan Lanning.
That would be fun to see. That would be a good litmus test on what we are as a team. Because not only will you have time to rest up and get your body going, you have time to prepare. We'll be playing a lot of our young players, but we'll probably be a lot more healthier when that game comes up. That's a great test to see.
I still think you walk in there and get mollywopped, because
I don't see it. I don't see we getting mollywopped in a neutral site. Not at all.
Now, if Oregon doesn't have Bo Nix in that game, then
Bodacious is going to play. He's already given us the indication that he's one of those dudes that's going to play in every game possible. Bodacious is playing, but I would love Oregon, because I think, like I said, it'd be a good test. I wouldn't go in there with the expectation of winning, but I would go in there with the expectation of it being a good game. But I'll say you this though. Let me see the ESPN's their power index. Tell you, the computers still love us. We just gotta love ourselves like the computers love us. Oregon will most likely be a favorite on a neutral site, but we're right up there with them. Like, we are 7th on the FPI, Oregon's 5. So that game will be kind of close. And I think in the JP poll, which if y'all understand how Josh Pate does it, it's a rating, not a ranking. And it's based upon their mathematical equation of, if you faced this team on a neutral site, who will be the favorite? That's how he lists them out. So every team ahead of every other team. He doesn't think we would be we'll be favorites in against Oregon, but I don't think it'll be that big of a gap. It'll probably be like 1 to 2 points. So imagine that. Oh, and the Big 12 has just released the Big 12 championship scenarios.
Don't worry, it'll change. We still got days before the Big 12 championship. So.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold on.
change.
Does the Big 12 change their rules again?
So here's the scenarios. I'm gonna go ahead and let me get my stuff together. It's so complicated. So It says Oklahoma remains in contention with either a win or a loss against TCU. Texas will clinch both a berth to the bid and a number 1 seed with the win over Tech. If Texas wins and clinches the berth on Friday, these are the scenarios. Oklahoma State beats BYU, they're in. If Oklahoma defeats TCU on Friday and that win is followed by a Texas win and an Oklahoma State loss, Oklahoma's in. If Kansas State beats Iowa State on Saturday, followed by a Texas win and an Oklahoma loss and an Oklahoma State loss, Kansas State's in.
Hey, I'll just say this.
Only 2 scenarios for Oklahoma is Oklahoma State loses or Texas, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State all lose at the same time. Because you can't just have Oklahoma State lose and then Kansas State win and Texas lose, because that would get Kansas State in there with Texas. You have to have all 3 lose or just Oklahoma State lose. That is Oklahoma's only path to the Big 12 championship at this point.
Yeah, we should need Oklahoma State to lose. Yeah, Brian. So we're saying there's a chance. Yeah.
which I'm not confident on that after BYU couldn't stop Oklahoma's run game and then Ollie Gordon looked pretty good. So
yeah, he's hurt, but he's been looking good even as an injured player. It's kind of fascinating.
And I'll just say this. In the past 2 years, anytime that a team has looked really, really good against us, the next week they look like 3 loads of dog crap. I'd have to say, except for the UCF win over Okie State, because that was the one outlier.
That was incredible.
Fair point.
That was the game we needed to get in.
And that's crazy.
So
we play the first game, and then Texas plays the night game on a short week.
Yeah, it's both of our games are going to be on Black Friday. We'll know before games kick off on Saturday what's going to happen here.
That extra day of rest might be nice. Might be helpful.
Or it also may just give us a nice month until we play Notre Dame in the something bowl.
The thing is, though, I can't sit here and without a doubt tell you, oh, yeah, Oklahoma's got a chance or Oklahoma doesn't have a chance, because Oklahoma State, they just Oklahoma State. And I I don't know. Like, I can't definitively go into this weekend and tell you Oklahoma's in or they're not in. Like, Oklahoma State could literally go out there and drop a goose egg.
Which we all anticipate, but
I mean, Brett Yormark will not let that happen.
Listen, sometimes it, like, as you've seen with Texas, sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, the team goes out there and
on the defense. We were in a timeout. What do you mean there's a pass interference on the defense?
They did that against Kansas. Listen, they did that with Kansas State and Texas as well. And Kansas State somehow went out there and just decided that they didn't want to win that game because they decided they wanted to go for 2 instead of win the game.
I still think it's the right call.
Yeah.
You're on the road. You're the lower ranked team.
Except for the Big 12's trying to help you out, and
still got to throw the ball, catch the ball.
I know.
And this is exactly right. This is exactly what Coop said. With our luck, O State goes out there and destroys BYU. But they're at the house too, so it's not a situation where it's not a they're not traveling out there to BYU. If they were playing at BYU, I'd say BYU probably beats them up. Because, they're a little bit better prepared playing on their field, but at the same time. It's November. It's probably going to be rainy. Yeah. But
no. Is Oklahoma State going to be prepared to play BYU on their field? Because they certainly weren't prepared to play South Alabama.
Touche.
I'm just saying, it's hard for me to say that Oklahoma doesn't make it or Oklahoma does make it this week. Like, you don't know what Oklahoma State you're going to get going into Saturday.
And it's going to be like 40 degrees here, too.
Enough.
Yeah, it's going to be a little breezy. It's going to be good. It's going to be football weather. So all y'all going to be out there bundled up going. Enjoy yourselves. I'm not going to make the game like I was hoping I was going to be able to. I'll actually be on the Bleacher Report app at 12 o'clock, which is going to make everything even worse for me. So,
I'm missing my first game in 7 years this year.
Congratulations. Sorry to hear that.
I'm deeply saddened. So,
finally pulling the trigger on that sex change, huh?
No, so I thought my family Thanksgiving was on Saturday, not Friday. And so I've been talking up like, oh yeah, I'm going to smoke this turkey. I'm going to smoke this ham. And I've been thinking it's on a Saturday. Well, no, my mom, against, in our last home game, she looks over at me and she goes, So how are you gonna smoke the meat and then also be at the TCU game? And I'm like, what do you mean? And sure enough, after doing some investigation with the family, someone forgot to tell me that it was on a Friday and not a Saturday. So that person shall remain nameless, but I am deeply saddened.
That's hilarious. Peach Bowl, huh? What you think about the Peach Bowl against Tulane?
I'd go out to that. I have family in Atlanta, so I'd go out to that.
When is the Peach Bowl this year?
I want to say it's the 29th.
Is it not a New Year's Six bowl?
No. Yeah, no. I don't think so this year. Let's see.
Because I think the Rose Bowl got filtered in.
Yeah, let me look at the schedule for the Peach Bowl this year. Let me go look real quick.
Bowls. I can say this thing. We are approximately, 20,
The 30th.
27
30th.
days away from football every single day for a month and a half. So get excited.
I'm pretty excited. Yeah, it's the 30th at noon. So it's in Georgia during the day. Oh man. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
That's
and then
crazy.
Cotton Bowl is on the 29th this year. The Peach Bowl by Chick-fil-A. The Trans Perfect Music City Bowl, the 30th. Orange Bowl. Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl.
Yeah, your main
quick.
New Year's Six games this year. PG they're playing on Saturday instead because we're not playing any bowl games on Sunday because it's NFL Sunday. The New Year's Day falls on a Monday, so you have that playoff games on Monday instead. So that's the reason why you don't have the New Year's quote unquote New Year's Six games.
Yeah, you've got the Relia Quest Bowl, which I'm pretty sure that's a banger.
Yeah, banger baby. Citrus Bowl.
The Citrus Bowl, the VRBO Fiesta Bowl,
Yep.
and then the semifinal. Those are all happening on New Year's Day.
So yeah, depending on who we play, yeah, I'm gonna be out of town that week anyway. So
I'd be good with the Peach Bowl. I'd be good with the Peach.
Peach Bowl will be fun. I've been out there before. I went out there and watched us get demolished by Alabama. LSU. It was awful, but it was great. Peach Bowl's a fantastic place. Go to the College Football Hall of Fame. Totally worth it.
Yeah, like I said, I got a family that lives in Atlanta. I'd drive out there for a week and just stay out in Atlanta.
Hey,
Sooner Cowboy, you really had us 8-4? So disrespectful.
Does that surprise you though?
Yeah. Sooner Cowboys are cautious pessimist around here. He's always on that one. But no, Kim, you're right. 10-2. I'm very happy with 10-2 in a bowl game. That's all that matters to me. That's all I care about.
I'd be cool with the Texas Bowl in Houston. I'd jump on a cruise ship right after a win.
That would be fun. That would actually be fun. Huh.
Sooner Cowboys got Patty Gasso losing 6 games this year. No, I got to say that usually when he talks, it makes me look at what I'm thinking and go, "All right, how much do you need to reel this back in?" But I don't think I've been cloud 9 since Kansas, so I haven't had to use my phone a friend to Sooner Cowboys.
The thing is, even if this team ends up with 9 wins, just 9 wins, like it's still a very good season. Like a lot of people had this team going 9 wins. That was a lot of people's predictions. So you know what? You're meeting the expectations. You go. A
lot of people bought Bitcoin. PG.
Say what?
A lot of people bought Bitcoin too. Just because a lot of people do it doesn't mean you should.
But what I'm saying is if you go 9 wins, like I think it's disappointing based off how you started the season, but there's a lot that you can learn from it. It's a good foundational point. You probably go into next year saying, "Hey, we're winning 10 or 11 games."
If you guys got, I don't think that pushing for 9 or 10 or 11 wins next year is an intelligent thing. What you need to do is going into next year, and we'll talk about this plenty coming up, but is just get better and whatever you need to do to gain that edge. Because if this goes in starting next year, Jackson, Sawchuk, I'm not even going to go for backup running back, Andrell Anthony, Anderson, Farouk, and I guess you throw Freeman in there unless you work somebody else out to take that slot that Stoops is going to vacate. Devon Mitchell, and then some combination on the offensive line of Sexton, Bird, Bates, Everett, Green, and Taylor, unless somebody else decides. We've got youth. We've got to continue. I mean, that's where I'm excited to kind of just get after this and get going, because we do have first-year quarterbacks galore across the board that we're going to be playing. Nick's going to be throwing it up at Tennessee. I'm guessing that Missouri, their kid is a fresh. I mean, their kid's older, so I think we're going to have a freshman quarterback there or a transfer. So it's going to be fun for us because we're going to have teams who are going to want to play the ball, play the game closer to the vest. 2025 is going to be a freaking fun year. Next year, it is how do you acclimate to the SEC, and also you can play the season without fear of losing one game, because losing one game is not going to do anything to you.
Yeah, because we got
you can lose
12-game
games,
playoffs,
still get in.
which is good.
And Kim, I'll just be honest, Oklahoma and Texas are going to be fighting for toughest schedule in America, because Texas has got to go to Ann Arbor. I want you to understand how hard Texas's schedule is next year. At Ann Arbor, UTSA at home, which UTSA has been a solid team. You've got Florida, Georgia, and you have to go to Kyle Field and College Station. And they got Kentucky. You know Kentucky's solid.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good one. We'll jump into some of these questions since we're still sticking around. Kim asks questions. Farouk coming back. That's a good question. I would love Farouk to come back and play slot. Put Brennan out on one edge or Jaden on one edge with Nick Anderson.
No.
He needs to
and
be
rotate
what?
Brennan in.
Top three rounds to go.
I don't think he'd go top 3 rounds.
But I mean, in order for him to be able to want to go, because BV has talked about it. If someone's in the top 3 rounds, they're pushing them to go.
I don't think that. I mean, I'm thinking it. Best case scenario, he's getting a 5th round grade.
Yeah, I don't see him getting a top 4 round grade. I don't see it. Just because of the season, he hasn't really had a breakout.
So if he probably wants to come back then, because if he comes back, he'll work himself up into a top 3 round pick.
I don't know. Yeah. The thing about it is when you get Gibson out there, Petaway's ready, Brennan Thompson, you got 2 burners. You're gonna potentially either put on the outside or in the slot, which I think Brennan would be great on the outside. I do expect Buckley Shelton to transfer. Same thing. Well, I don't think Hester was. Hester just hasn't been healthy.
Hester, I think, is on his last year, isn't he?
No, I think he's got 2 years left.
He's got one. Okay.
Does DJ Graham transfer?
Yeah, he's going to definitely transfer.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's going to definitely transfer.
And then
and that's about health because he's been hurt all year. So
yeah, and then Cade McIntyre will transfer too.
McIntyre's not transferring.
No, his ass is gone after that tweet. His ass is gone.
That's Jason Llewellyn. That's not Kid.
Oh yeah, wrong guy. That guy's gone.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you get the right guy's name. Yeah. No, Cade's freshman. He's gonna be here. They're gonna really put him to work. Adding him with Devon Mitchell. Oh man.
And potentially
whatever
Nate Roberts.
Get out of the portal.
Is Nate 24 or is he 25?
25.
I thought he was 25. So he's got an extra year to wait for him. But Devon is 24. Him and Cade next season. Woo!
And
Devon's probably going to play as a freshman.
To get to the portal because they'll take a senior in the portal.
Yeah, I think that you got to get somebody. You got to get somebody with 2 years in the portal.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I think. Let me see. Yeah, we got a lot of. We got a lot of options, I'd say, at the wide receiver spot. But I expect Hester's a redshirt junior, 6'4", 194. Jeez, we can just get him going. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But yeah, I expect Hester. Well, I don't know if Hester's gonna be around. I do. Brennan and Petaway are both gonna be either outside, probably outside. I think Nick and Gibson are gonna be your 2 top guys. And Andrew Anthony will be back next year, too.
Andrew Anthony's number 1. Nick's
he's healthy.
1B. And then you've got Jaden Gibson and Farouk.
Well, I don't think Andrell's going to end up being your number one, and I only say that because he'll be rehabbing while everybody else is working with Jackson Arnold. So that kind of takes away from the opportunity of being number one when you've got your quarterback working with all these other players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll put it down. You've got Gibson or not Gibson. Anderson 1A, Anthony 1B. I'll mark it down right now.
Okay. Truth, you're asking a question about that. Okay, OU schedule 2020. Let me look at next season's schedule.
They get out of it with one loss.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I see 2 losses next season.
Are we talking about regular season or non-conference and conference?
Yeah, the entire season.
I still go one loss.
I got 2.
What are your 2 losses? Because I've got the only loss that I have is Alabama, because I look at it and say I don't think Jaden Daniels returns, and if he does return, I still think that's a team that Oklahoma can go out there and beat. So I'm not scared of at LSU. I'm not scared of at Auburn.
The games I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of Texas. I'm not afraid of Auburn. I'm not afraid of LSU, and I'm definitely not afraid of Ole Miss. The games that concern me.
Maine is pretty scary.
I will fight you. I will fight you. And I'm wondering where we play Maine, to be honest. Games that scare me. No. I'm talking about where in the schedule. My bad.
It's going to,
it's going to end of the year.
Yeah, it's slated at the end of the year as of right now, so it'd be like this week.
Well, no, it wouldn't be. I know it's not going to be the last game of the season because SEC rules, you have to have it like right before a really big game.
Okay.
So I mean, like this week that we just played, like the second.
Right. My bad. Yeah, you're right. This past Saturday, yesterday area. That's when we're gonna play.
All right. So here's what you got. So you got Texas in Dallas, and Friday you're gonna have to let me know what is your thoughts around this, because I'm seeing some interesting thoughts about Quinn coming back this year and then potentially coming back next year. So I just want to know your thoughts, Frightening. But
I like that one.
But you got Temple. Okay, you got Houston at home next year. Tulane at home.
Look at too.
Yeah, so Houston at home, or Temple, Houston, Tulane. You got Texas and Dallas, at Auburn, at LSU, at Missouri. So Auburn, I don't really care, but LSU, brand new quarterback, they're going to be breaking in. Missouri, I need somebody to check and see if they're bringing in somebody. Alabama, what's happening? Do we play them early, and is Sayin blowing up stuff, or does Jalen Milroe leverage out? South Carolina, new quarterback, which kind of sucks. I'd love for Spencer Rattler to have to come back and play us in Norman.
He has another year eligibility, doesn't he?
Yeah, but remember, he's a first-round draft pick. He's number 1 overall.
So this is what we're looking at. So if I'm looking at this correctly, and as you're mentioning there, Coop, like I said, I got scared games I'm scared of. Bama at the crib is going to be a good one, but I'm not afraid of Bama playing here. I do think Jalen Milroe is going to be a problem.
I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to be your quarterback for Alabama next year.
Oh yeah, he'll be the starting quarterback next year.
Oh no, I don't think so.
No chance Julian Sand takes that away from him.
I don't think he's your starting quarterback next year.
I don't think Julian Sand takes that away from him next season. So that's the one I'm not concerned.
He's playing pretty well.
Yeah, they figured out. They've unlocked how to make him work the way they want to. Now Julian Sand's going to make him work, but they don't give that job away because they're gonna play the experienced guy. This is 2 years of experience for him. They're gonna play the experienced guy in these bigger games. But but Bama does scare me. I think that one's gonna be a challenge just because I think that he's gonna be a challenge. And you want me to be honest? Missouri.
I just said, yeah, because Brady Cook returns, Luther
Cook
Burden
comes back.
returns.
We'll play against, let me see, new quarterback at Auburn, new quarterback at South Carolina, new quarterback at Tennessee, Ole Miss may have Jackson Dart come back, but
He
Yeah,
is.
he'll-
no one's scared of
He already
Pete
announced
Golding.
he's coming back.
Huh?
He already announced he's coming back.
So, yeah, I'm not afraid of Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. Tulane's going to be a tough game. They'll be ranked when we play them.
Yeah. But
They're gonna be ranked when we
Oklahoma
play
should be
them.
able to beat Tulane, though.
Oh, yeah, we should be able to, but they'll be ranked when we play them is my point. You know what I'm
My
saying? They're
thing
going to be a
is-
challenge.
You couldn't have caught LSU at a better time to play them in Death
Heck
Valley.
yeah.
Because
No quarterback.
Yeah. That's why I look at it. I go, the only game that scares me is Alabama. Missouri, kind of. But at the same time, you should be able to beat Missouri. Like, Missouri, the talent disparity, like, you know. But at the same time, Missouri has given Georgia problems 2 years in a row. Even when Georgia was prepared for them.
And that's a fair assessment there, Truth. I'm with you on that. You can see, I can see potentially 4 losses, but I don't think we lose them. I think the ball bounces in the halfway mark at 2-2, and so I do pick 2 losses. I say 2 losses could happen. I don't see us losing at home. That's why on the reason why with the Bama game, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't see us losing at the crib.
Tennessee could be a hard one, though, because
It's
we
at the
already-
crib,
because
though.
Nico, but Nico already looked good this year in the time he's played, and it's going to be late in the season probably. I don't expect that Tennessee game to be early in the year.
Yeah, me either. I think this is going to be late, so people will be developed. But at that point, Jackson Arnold will be prepared too. You know what I'm saying? I think LSU's early. That one is going to be the game I'm going to be like, what's going on? But Texas, I'm not afraid of Texas, but Texas is a rivalry game. So I'm not stupid to believe that if there's no chance we would lose. It's a
I'm just
rivalry
not
game.
scared of it because you play that game every year.
Right. We play each other. We know each other. We play each other. Sark and Venables are now understanding each other better. That the two games, the work games are going to be Texas and Alabama, the most work.
Now, I
I
wanna
don't
throw
think
this
any of
out
these other games are work for us.
What are the odds that Oklahoma opens with Alabama and Texas opens with Georgia to start their seasons? Because couldn't you see the SEC doing something to where they want to make the grand entrance and have their marquee games week 1, Texas versus Georgia and Oklahoma versus Bama?
Typically,
because we were supposed to do that this year. It was supposed to have been us in Georgia week 2 and Bama, Texas, with Georgia coming.
and
in.
I would say typically, but with ESPN ABC taking over the SEC network and being the voice box for the playoff, it is an absolute. You can toss out. Oh, everybody knows what's going on. I think the bigger draw is going to be the playoff. The gain in the Crimson Tide or Oklahoma or Georgia or Texas fan base that you can gain by putting them up front isn't going to be big. You showing a different season and making a big deal about the playoff and how everybody's got a chance, you gain so many more fan bases. So I just don't expect that to be early. I would say get excited.
We got our
for like
dates. Here's your
Well,
date.
Yeah.
I mean,
Your
yes,
dates.
there's the
31st.
but
The
I
date's
don't
already
know-
set.
Are those the dates for those games though? And
Correct.
I'll just say
Yes.
this
Correct.
because I was just on the phone with my season ticket manager the other day because I was asking about a couple other things and moving seats. They don't have the schedules yet.
For the SEC, no. For these,
That's
yes. These are already set. These are set.
Well, I mean, I think Oklahoma knows they're playing those days, but are the opponents actually penciled in?
Yes.
For those-
Those
yeah.
dates are set. They always have those non-conference games set. Like that. So we'll play the 31st against Temple. 7th is going to definitely be Houston coming to town. We'll have 3 straight home games. We'll travel on the 21st. The question is where. I'm anticipating us going to Death Valley first. I think that's the first road game.
I wouldn't mind going to Jordan Hare first.
I would actually prefer to go to Jordan Hare first, but I wouldn't mind that. I think Death Valley is going to end up being. I will be at that game. Then
Hey, let's go to all of them.
we'll probably have back-to-back road games. Knowing our luck, we'll probably have a bye week after that. So the 21st and the 28th will. Actually, the 21st we'll have a game. 28th we'll have a game. We'll have the first weekend of October off, and then we have OU Texas. We'll have Red River. That's what I anticipate. So it will. No. So Kim, no. That the schedule will align with the fair. So the fair is gonna be. It depends on the fair's dates. Like this year was the first weekend in October because of how the fair aligned, but it's usually the second week in October. So it's all about the calendar set up with that.
There's contractual obligations for that game to be played on the fair.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the middle somewhere. It's usually the right at the beginning of the fair or in the middle, one of the two. So there's a lot of options when it comes to that schedule. But this is gonna be, of course, interesting. And so, Truth, thank you for bringing this up. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Y'all's are interesting with Kentucky, Florida, Georgia, A&M, Arkansas. Beck will be back next year, so y'all get an experienced quarterback at Georgia. Georgia and Bama gonna have experienced quarterbacks. So that's the thing that kind of like makes me.
I'm not worried if I'm
queasy.
Texas. If I'm a Texas fan, I'm not worried about Arkansas. Just because Arkansas is going to be breaking a new head coach. I'm more worried about Florida.
No, they won't.
If Florida still has Billy Napier.
No, I'm
Florida,
talking about
Georgia,
Arkansas is not
Kentucky.
bringing in a new coach.
Arkansas is not going away from Pittman. He's staying.
I thought they already fired him.
The AD already said that they're sticking with him next season.
They
he
went
just
back
said
on
it
that?
like yesterday.
Yeah, it never was official. It was all
speculation.
Speculation stuff, but it's on ESPN's front page now.
Okay,
that
I was not aware of
They're
that.
sticking with them amid the 4-7 season.
Okay. Yep, Arkansas
I was
AD
not aware of that,
says
so
inform
that
the players
is,
and staff.
Well, at the same time, I still don't think that game scares me as a Texas fan.
No, that Arkansas game's nothing.
Oh, no, absolutely not. They have nobody.
No, I would be more worried about Kentucky because Kentucky's just a solid, good team year in and year out. And then Florida only if Billy Napier's still there. I mean, I think there's a chance Billy Napier gets fired.
That's a good one.
They should have put Missouri away this week, and they didn't. And so Missouri kicks a game-winning field goal and gives a nice little gator chomp right to the fan base. Hate to see it.
Yeah. Missouri knows how to win games. They're shocking. They're going to be one of the Eli Drinkowitz. Steve Wiltfong tweeted it out yesterday, but he's going to probably win SEC Coach of the Year because basically now they have to go play at Arkansas. Oh yeah. So their last game is at Arkansas. They win in that game, so they're going to end this season 10-2.
Don't say that.
10-2.
Don't say that they are going to win that
game. And both games that they lost will have been LSU was a 10-point game. Georgia was a 9-point game, but I would almost look at that Georgia game and go one score if they just one thing goes their way. I'll be interested to see if Missouri can carry this over into next year. Getting Williams Nwaneri, I still expect them to try to make a push after Jay-Sean Ross, and then if they can flip either Wingo or McCullen or both of them, Missouri could put out a pretty competitive team next year in the SEC East.
Yeah.
And who would have ever thought that would have been the challenger, Georgia?
I mean, it's a good point. That's a good point. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody go home and enjoy themselves, get their dinners.
Yeah, frightening. You guys having to play Michigan? That is interesting. Now, Jeff Traylor's UTSA. So UTSA scares me if y'all have to play Jeff Traylor. Traylor might
he's
be
talking
the head
about
coach
Jeff
of
Traylor
Texas
at A&M.
So, but if
he's talking about Traylor
now,
at A&M,
give or take, even though UTSA might give y'all a scare, you guys should be able to beat them. So
PG.
Senior Cowboy says Georgia.
PG.
What?
Your headphone's not working at all.
Can you hear me?
What do you mean?
Just making sure. He's talking about Traylor at A&M, not at UTSA.
What do you mean?
Traylor's going to be at A&M.
Oh, I was about to say, are you acting like Jay's on? Because Jay's got a black screen for me.
That's racist.
No, I'm serious. It's literally just a black screen.
Really? Coop, can you see me?
Yeah, you're beautiful. I love you.
Thank you. I mean, I'm looking on YouTube now, and I see me too. I don't know why you can't see me, PG. That's weird. But no,
I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think that y'all. I don't think y'all gonna see UTSA Traylor. I think y'all gonna see y'all gonna see you're gonna see Texas A&M Traylor, which is gonna be even more fun. So yeah. Hey, Brian, do not put that evil on me. Stop putting that evil on me, man. I'm not dyeing any gray hairs around here, man. I'm not that old. But no, UTSA is probably not gonna have Traylor. I anticipate him being an A&M at that time. So you'll be fighting the flying trailers at you at A&M at that point. If A&M smart, that is. And as you can see, we lost Coop.
If A&M doesn't A&M.
Right. As we have lost PG and we brought Coop back.
There we go.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Y'all know where to find
it.
PG. He's one of the people of the family. He's always around. PG, yeah, he just had a message and asked if I'm here. And for some reason, he everything's acting wrong for him in the system. So make sure you wipe your feet. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hop in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts on. We will chop it up with all of you in the next day or two. We'll be back, of course, Wednesday before Thanksgiving to talk balls. We prepare Texas A&M. And y'all have a good night. See y'all soon. Peace.